Hi Bucket Squad, George here. Quick note before we get into this week's stellar instalment of Culture Bucket. Last week's episode and this week's episode were recorded pre the Charisma Carpenter allegations against Joss Whedon, which is why we've talked quite positively, hyperbolically even, about Buffy the Vampire Slayer without, or at least I have, without mentioning those allegations. The episode we most recently recorded, which I think is episode 24, we have a longer discussion about those allegations and how it impacts on my love for Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and related things. So you'll hear that when that goes out, but just wanted to put something up front today just to make it clear that myself and Alex and Culture Bucket generally, as unimportant, as tiny as we are, absolutely stand with Charisma Carpenter and the other cast members of Buffy and Ray Fisher and everyone who have come out with their horrible experiences of working with Joss Whedon. We do not support that sort of behaviour. So yeah, enjoy this week's episode and see you next time.
Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, George and Alex.
Okay, and thank you, and welcome back to Culture Bucket for our episode today, which may be episode 21.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Wow. We're going to be discussing 90s films today, top 5 90s films. I'm your host, George. With me is Alex, my co-host, equal host. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, George?
I'm good.
Yeah? How's it going?
Yeah, no, I'm great.
Just before we start recording, I was telling George how in 1 week the world has changed again, and it's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, we're recording at the end of the week when some man in a Viking helmet tried to take over America and England imploded. So
Yeah. Last week, nothing was going on, and then this week it's going crazy. But would you ever have thought that in your lifetime you would have seen an attempt of coup in America?
No. No. But it wasn't a very good attempt.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was, yeah.
It was like if a bunch of nursery school children tried to take over the school by throwing pencils at the teacher. And it was very dangerous, and people died. And obviously, it was awful. But similarly, it was just a mess of idiots. Anyway.
Anywho, never mind.
Yeah, never mind. Shall we crack on?
Yeah.
This is Culture Catch-Up Time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture Catch-Up Time.
Yes, are you ready? I'm going to start. I've got a few things to talk about. Number one is I watched a sitcom that people keep telling me to watch, and I finally watched it. The BBC comedy Ghosts.
Okay.
Have you seen it, Alex?
No.
It was in the honourable mentions of one of our listeners' top fives in our best of 2020 list. Eliza and Rachel made it an honourable mention as one of their favourite British TV shows. And they recently announced the lineup for the next season of Taskmaster, and it only included one person I actually had heard of. So I was like, I want to kind of know about some of these people before I watch them on Taskmaster. Yeah. So one of the people on it is the lead actor or actress in Ghosts. So I decided to finally get around to watching that. And I'm glad I did, because it is incredible. I love it. There's 2 series of 6 episodes and a Christmas special at the moment for 13 episodes. I've watched all of them since we last recorded.
Wow.
It's brilliant. It's created by it's quite recent. The second series only aired last September, and it's still being made, I think, so there will be a third series at some point. And it's created by the team that made the Horrible Histories children's show for years.
Yeah.
Which I never watched, but I know is very, very popular.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people involved in it have been on other comedies over the years, particularly Peep Show. The guy who played Gerard in Peep Show is one of the dudes, and he is also in Sex Education as the teacher. So I like him, Jim Howick. And Ghosts is a comedy about a young married couple who inherit a country house from a long-lost relative that the wife wasn't aware she had. And when she gets there, you find out that the house is inhabited by a group of ghosts who are... no one can see them, and one of them is a scoutmaster who has like an arrow through his neck that's snapped off because he obviously died in some kind of scouting accident. And he's played by Jim Howick from Sex Education. Another one is a guy who's wearing a suit, but he has no trousers on, and he's an MP who died in a sex scandal. That's quite funny. There's a lady who was burned as a witch. There's a caveman. There's a headless guy. There is a sort of Byron-esque poet who gets very worked up about things. There's an army general. There's like a good mix of weird characters in there. And basically in the first episode, one of them, they're trying to get rid of this couple because they want the house themselves. One of them pushes her out of a window and she gets a concussion. And after she wakes up from a concussion, she's able to see and interact with the ghosts. So the series is all about kind of her being able to talk to the ghosts, but no one else can see them. And a lot of comedy is mined from there being other people visiting the house and her shouting at the ghosts and then people being like, oh, what are you doing? And it makes me laugh every single time. It's pretty great. I love it. I would recommend Ghosts to everyone. It's fantastic, and it is a fantasy of mine to live in a haunted house in the middle of the countryside with my collection of ghosts. So it's pretty after my own heart.
Nice.
Yeah. For sure. You should check it out, Alex. It's good.
Definitely. Sounds good.
Yeah. After that, I've been watching a lot of, as we discussed last week, my Buffy rewatch finally came to an end, which I was very sad about. I had only just finished when we recorded last week. So obviously the Buffy-shaped hole has to be filled, and I filled it with lots and lots of Angel.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Spin-off from Buffy, starring David Boreanaz as the titular vampire with a soul, Angel, or Angelus when he's evil. Started in 1999 and ran for 5 seasons. I've currently watched half of the first season. And I've watched Angel in the past, but never all of it. So I'm excited to hopefully on this rewatch, actually get to the end and see what happens at the end, which is going to be cool. But for now, I'm on season 1, and it's pretty great. Cordelia's there, which is awesome because she's a good character on Buffy, and it's sad when she leaves. But it's good to have more time with her in Angel. And of course, Angel, I really like David Boreanaz. Seems like a very kind of charismatic, nice man. I like the story that he was discovered to work on Buffy when he was like walking his dog or watering his garden or something, and somebody just saw him and was like, "You're a handsome guy, you should be on TV." And then he got a part on Buffy, and then it became Angel and stuff. And it's good. It doesn't have quite the cast of characters in it yet that Buffy does, but I think it kind of expands as it goes on, so I'm looking forward to kind of getting further into it. So that's good. Then I watched a film from 1975 called Jaws. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's pretty good.
I have seen it a while ago, though.
Yeah. That was a joke, because it was meant to be like, oh, everyone's seen Jaws, but then you acted as if I was referencing quite an obscure film.
Sorry. Because when I watched it, I was so disappointed. I was just like, oh, I don't know if I should say.
You were disappointed in Jaws?
Kind of. I don't know why. I thought it was pretty boring. God. I don't think it aged very well.
No, it did age well. You're ridiculous. Okay. I'm done with you.
Why? I'm sorry.
I'm already at the end of my tether with you and your opinions today after The Lighthouse last week. Just any water-based film you're going to have some problem with, is that it?
Maybe. It's funny because after we recorded, like, that, The Lighthouse was in my head and I just couldn't sleep that night. It's really bizarre. I kept thinking about how to, like move like a piece of wood from one side to the next.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a dream. I don't know. I think I was in a lighthouse frenzy. I think, the effects of the lighthouse come like 3 days later.
All right. Anyway, I didn't think it needed saying, but Jaws is a perfect film. It's a 5 out of 5, and everyone should watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely you should watch it. It's one of those films that has to be watched, but you don't necessarily have to enjoy it.
No, but you will enjoy it because it's great. So, next, I've been listening to some music this week. I've been listening to an album by an artist that I've listened to because her vocals feature on one of my favourite songs from last year. You've heard me talk about the song My God by The Killers quite a lot.
Yeah.
I love that song. And it features vocals from Weyes Blood or Weyes Blood. I'm not quite sure how she pronounces it. And she released an album in 2019 called Titanic Rising, which was on a lot of end-of-year lists and stuff. And people were raving about it at the time. But, like, for me, 2019 was a big metal year. Like, Slipknot and Tool and other people had new albums that year. So I was listening to, like, not her kind of thing, because she does sort of, like, Baroque pop, like, sort of 70s-esque stuff or Kate Bush-esque stuff, Carole King, that kind of thing. So I listened to that album once back in 2019 and was like, nobody's screaming about how much pain they're in because their parents were mean to them. So it's not for me right now. So anyway, I came back to it this week because I was thinking about how much I like that Killers song, and I've had a listen to it, and it is magnificent. I love it. I've listened to it over and over again this week. So Titanic Rising by Weyes Blood is a massive recommend. It's sort of, she doesn't quite sound like Phoebe Bridgers, but it's that kind of thing of like very emotional music being sung by a beautiful voice, but with something slightly darker underneath. Not quite as obvious as, like, Phoebe Bridgers' lyrics are quite dark, and Weyes Blood doesn't seem immediately quite as dark. But then I was watching some of her music videos, and there's one for a song that's a very beautiful song, very beautifully sung, and the music video is done as like a 70s style looking trip to a ski lodge with a group of friends just sort of sat around a ski lodge drinking beer and having fun. And suddenly, out of nowhere, someone gets killed with an axe. And then the screen goes all red, and then the song doesn't change at all. And then it's just, this video's going on with people having fun, and then every now and then one of them gets murdered by an axe murderer, and then at the end it sort of is like a Friday the 13th riff. And I was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that at all. And that's kind of like what Weyes Blood is like. Her music on this album is very beautiful and soft and gorgeous, but then you can just sort of tell that there's something there under the surface that's a bit darker, and I really enjoy that. So that's great. So yeah, that was Titanic Rising by Weyes Blood. Big recommend, especially if you like Phoebe Bridgers and other music of that nature. You might enjoy it. Then I watched the Taskmaster New Year's special, a one-off episode with some contestants that were only on that one episode, and it was decent fun. I'd recommend it. And then last night I sat down and I watched the film because you wouldn't set it for me for my homework, so I decided to watch it anyway. I watched Moulin Rouge.
Ooh.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, so I had never seen it, or I think I might have seen it like a long time ago, like back in 2001 or whenever. I might have watched it and not really understood it. So I felt like I wanted to watch it and see what it was about, because I really like Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor and Jim Broadbent and all the people in it and stuff. And it is totally mad.
It is.
Why is John Leguizamo playing a dwarf?
Well, he's not playing a dwarf. He's playing Toulouse-Lautrec. No.
Who is a dwarf?
Well, it wasn't a dwarf. He had problems with his legs, didn't he?
Well, the film describes him as a dwarf.
Ah, okay.
That's what the film calls him, I'm fairly certain, which is why I use that word. I wouldn't ordinarily just throw a word like that out there.
Okay, I don't remember them calling him. But yeah, well, he's playing a dwarf. He's playing Toulouse-Lautrec. Yeah,
why though? Because was there not an actor of that? Like, he's on his hands and knees. It's bizarre.
It was 2001. At the time, people did not cast people in the right places. You know.
No, they're definitely not.
No.
It's bizarre.
Come on, we're going to talk about films of the 90s. They're going to be so many films that are not going to be correct or.
No, but I've never seen anyone. It's just weird. It's just a very weird casting choice, I think.
Well, because Toulouse-Lautrec wasn't. He wasn't a dwarf. He had, I think, like his body was deformed. So I think that's what he's trying to do.
Fair enough.
I don't know. That's 2001.
But I read that it compacted his spine. Like he injured himself making the film.
Did he?
Yeah. Because he literally had to wear like prosthetics on his legs and stand on his knees for like hours at a time.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because it's such a. He went through a lot of physical pain for the part. It's bizarre. I thought I enjoyed it. Nicole Kidman is really good in it. and Ewan McGregor's pretty good in it. But I found it almost like a fun movie, but I almost wouldn't agree that it's a musical in an odd way. Because none of the songs are sung in full. It's this weird thing where they'll like sing about a minute or a minute and a half of a song, and then they'll start just singing another song instead. And then they might go back to the... Do you know what I mean? It's
medleys. They're medleys, mashups. Have you ever heard of a mashup?
Yeah, but they're like constant... Yeah, but not for an entire film. Like, it's mad.
I can't believe you don't think that it's a musical. Come on.
I don't know if it is.
It is definitely 100% a musical.
It's too... It felt like a trailer for a musical.
Oh my goodness. Like tell me about your choices from last week. So you're telling me that like one of my choices wasn't a musical. You made me watch an episode of Buffy calling it a musical. Like,
it is a musical.
It is not a musical. It is a musical episode of a series. So please.
Right.
Yeah. And this is a musical film where everybody sings and dances for 2 hours. It is a musical.
I'm not criticizing it. I'm just...
It doesn't tick your musical boxes, George. I am sorry.
I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying it's an odd musical because I've never seen a musical like it before.
Yeah, it's original.
Yes.
Did you like that? Did you like that scene where they do the Indian song?
Where they're all performing it in like the dress rehearsal?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. I liked the scene in the Elephant where they're trying to convince the Duke that that they're writing a play together. That was quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, overall it was good. I liked it. I thought it was slightly longer than I'd have liked. The ending seems to drag out a lot, but it was good. Hello?
I'm speaking.
It was Alexa. Let me just turn off the microphone on Alexa.
Alexa went, a mushroom.
Oh, I don't know that one.
A mushroom.
She's gonna stop talking now.
Yeah, that was cool. Well, you watched it, you know. I tried to watch Hannah and the Apocalypse, but I didn't.
That's fine. It wasn't your homework.
No, but I really wanted to watch it, and I will watch it. But I wasn't looking for it.
I think you'll like it.
And it's like quite expensive, so not yet. Though.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's on the Sky streaming service thing over here.
Yeah, not here. I looked.
That's a pity. That is everything I've got for Culture Catch Up.
Awesome. Wow.
Nice.
So it's my turn.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk about films this week because I've just been listening to Adam Buxton. I've been back on my binging, so that's been pretty good. And
nice.
You know, I'll be talking about stuff that he's been of people that he has had on his podcast because I love getting inspiration from him. He always manages to like interview people that I might be interested in reading or listening to. I don't know. He's very convincing in that sense. Or he just has I don't know. Never mind. But yeah, so I watched 4 films this week. One of them was a total random film that I found on Sky, but I thought it was pretty good. It's a film directed by Gurinda Chadha, who did Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh, right.
Have you ever seen Bend It Like Beckham?
No.
Very good film. Well, like
it's about football, so.
It's about girls' football and race and everything, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, this film is not that, and it's called "Blinded by the Light." That's why I kept singing that song before.
I see. Yeah. Oh, I know this film. I've not seen it.
Oh, yeah. So Blinded by the Light is it was released in 2019, and it's got the main characters are pretty obscure actors, but the main character Javid is played by Vivek Kalra, I think. But then there's also people like Rob Brydon, who plays the neighbor's dad, and but yeah, it's a film about this kid, second generation Pakistani, that lives in Luton, and is set in 1987, and he wants to find his own voice and become his own person. So he starts college, and he makes a new friend, and this new friend introduces him to Bruce Springsteen, and Javid, the main character, feels like Springsteen is talking to him, and he gets really inspired by him, and he's a writer, and so he starts writing more about his experiences, and it's just a story about this kid being inspired by Bruce Springsteen, and it's really, really good, and it is inspired by the life of a journalist called Safraz Manzoor, and this journalist really likes the works of Bruce Springsteen. I can't say it. Bruce Springsteen.
That's the one.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've never really liked the music, Bruce Springsteen's music, but I really enjoyed it in the film, and it's not the deepest film, but I think Gurinder Chadha manages to make films that are really like light-hearted and coming of age and good, but also showing the problematics of being of a different race in England. She did that in Bended Like Beckham. She did this here, and she doesn't make it like the main topic, but she includes it, and it's interesting. I like it. I was reading some reviews, and they were like, "Oh, maybe it was a bit, not deep enough," but I think it's a good film, and it's got good music, and yeah. Good film.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
Yeah,
it's been on my list for a while.
Yeah. You should watch it. It's
glad you
very,
enjoyed
very
it.
good. Yes, and then I watched a Japanese film called Our Beloved Wife, written and directed by Shin Adachi, and it's about this couple that where the wife is really mean to her husband.
Right.
So he's a writer, and she's always like supported him, and for 10 years she supported his writing, and he's whatever he wanted to do, but he's also a pretty useless human being, and
Right.
so it's a constant of this wife just being really mean to him, and just telling him he's wrong and arguing with him, and he gets more frustrated. He gets sexually frustrated. That's a massive part of the film as well, because they're in a sexless marriage, and then you wonder why they're still together, and then it's just a climax of her being meaner and meaner and meaner and meaner, and it's really funny and interesting, and in Japan, having the wife that is a nag is kind of like a comedy, kind of like a comedic thing. It's kind of popular to see, but you could see in this film how the way she is because of this disappointment that she has brought to her by being useless in everything. So I'm being lazy and only thinking about sex and only thinking about himself. And although he's not a bad person, and maybe he doesn't deserve her being so mean to him, you kind of go, oh, but you could do just a little bit more to make a little bit happier. But then you think, have they gone too far and they can't go back? It's a really interesting film, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy as much as I did, because it's pretty intense.
Yeah. So is it meant to be a comedy then? Is it intended to be funny?
Yeah, it's meant to be a comedy, and it is funny. And then at one point there's a massive scene where you go, oh my God, and it gets really, really serious. And then it just turns, and I don't want to say it, because if you want to watch the film, it's just like, and then you go, what? Okay. And it's just, I think it's trying to kind of show that maybe the nagging wife is like that for a reason, and the husband is not necessarily that bad. And yeah, it's really, really fun. And I would definitely recommend it because it's just a really good film. And yeah, interesting. But also sometimes you go, oh my God, just shut up. Because the wife goes on and on and on. And you go, just give him a break. But then you think, well, she hasn't had a break because she's the breadwinner, she's the cook, she's the mum, she's everything. And he hasn't been able to bring any money home. And so you go, oh, you're very confused the entire film because you're not really sure which side you should be on. And sometimes you're on his side, sometimes you're on her side. And, sometimes you can in films you kind of choose a side, but here you can't. It's good. It's a good film. Yeah.
I like the sound of it. What's it called again?
A Beloved Wife.
A Beloved Wife.
Yeah, it's quite recent. It came out in 2019. Yeah, it's good. And then I watched Pokemon Detective Pikachu, finally.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I've never watched Pokemon anime. I know what they are, and I went in totally like, well, I know Pikachu, and I know what they look like. I don't know the name. I think I know Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur, he's like a little dinosaur.
Yeah. So know them, but I don't know them. And
Okay.
I watched it because I was like, I need something good to watch, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Man.
Yeah. Well, it's about this kid that finds out that his dad and his partner died in a car accident. His dad is a detective, and his dad is a detective, and then he goes to this city where Pokemon and people live together, and then finds himself trying to solve the mystery of his dying dad. I don't know. Yeah, is that what it is?
His dad's disappearance.
His dad's disappearance. Yeah, the main character is Justice Smith, but then Ryan Reynolds plays Pikachu, and then there's Catherine Newton that is she's in Big Little Lies.
She's great.
Yeah, Bill Nye. Yeah, it's really, really good, and I really enjoyed it because by the end, I realized that it's a bit like completely different, but also similar Watchmen in the sense of they created a complete. So they got the concept of Pikachu. They got the concept of Pokemon, and then just got the characters, and then put them in a world created totally by the creators of this film. No, because that's not the world that. That's not
sort of.
Yeah, like it's kind of an original idea using characters that have already been created.
There was a video game called Detective Pikachu first, though, before the film.
Well, then I'm wrong.
But I don't know. I've not played the game. I don't think it's set in the same city. I think a lot of that has been come up with by them. The idea of a city where they live in harmony.
Yeah. Well, what I enjoyed is the fact that it was just, for me, it was just, I don't know, it just seemed like a really original idea. There weren't Pokemon catching. It was just like Pokemon and people living in a city and doing things. And, Pikachu's a detective, and Psyduck is a crazy duck that if you get, it's just, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I really like it. I thought it was brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Yeah. And last film I watched, so I would definitely recommend Detective Pikachu if you want to watch something that is like light and fluffy. I finally watched Hidden Figures.
Oh, Hidden Figures.
Yes. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it in the cinema.
Oh, beautiful. I didn't realize it came out so long ago. Like 2016 was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago. Lord. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it stars Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, Kevin Costner, Kristen Dunst, Jim Parson, I didn't know Mahershala Ali was in it. I was like,
Oh yeah.
Love that guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a film about these well it's such a stupid thing. Like whilst I was watching it, so in the USA and Russia were trying to get to space as like a power war, which thinking about it now is ridiculous, isn't it? That that was their race.
Yeah, I mean the whole Cold War and everything that surrounded it was pretty.
It's insane
mad.
thinking about it. So and these there's this group of African American female mathematicians, and they worked in NASA, and they basically are well, they helped NASA to go to the moon and to space. But yeah, and the interesting thing, I didn't you know what, you things that you don't think about, that they were human computers, yeah? So they had to do all the calculations that a computer would do.
Oh yeah.
So you go, oh my goodness, like before computers, something had to do all of that. And that's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, just like a room full of women doing calculations all day because there's no machine that does it yet. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? And then the computer arrives and is an entire room. So once upon a time, computers built entire rooms. But no, I thought it was really good, and you know, it shows, like, you know, of course, the race struggle in America at that time, the power and the intelligence of these women, but also the total ridiculousness of having segregated bathrooms, segregated everything, which it's
absurdity.
Insane. Like it's just insanity. And people were not. What amazed me, and what amazes me all the time, and when I think about it, is just people were not directly racist to them. They were not saying racist things to them, but they were. The racism was constant. So it wasn't just about, you know, where you can, like, I feel like if somebody's racist to your face, at least you know where you stand. Not a great place, but when you have constant people that say, okay, you can't drink from this cup, you can't sit here, you can't be in this library, you can't, and you go, but so what was it's just a constant reminder, isn't it, that you're not wanted.
It'd be awful.
And the power of these women living in a world where you have a constant reminder that you're not wanted, and you're not supposed to be there, and you cannot touch my coffee, and still being flipping heroes. That's amazing, isn't it? Like, you must have such strength to be able to live that way, I feel.
Yeah.
And
definitely. And
I think it's a really good film, and it's fun and interesting, and space, those crazy place. You know, me and space, I find it insane. But yeah, I thought it was a really good film. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. And that's my 4 films of the week.
Nice, good choices.
Thank you very much.
Sit down at the back and be quiet and get out your book, because it's time to discuss your homework. Now.
Newish feature. We put out a call after we recorded our episode on musicals for some listener lists. So we've got 3 top 5 musical lists from listeners to share with you today, which is so exciting and wonderful. First up, we've got Chris, our wonderful fan Chris, who we love and adore.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
You should see my WhatsApps with George. He's like, oh, Chris is the best. You're still listening. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, Chris writes, I believe there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure, so here goes. He's not numbered these, so I'll just read through them as they are. We've got Jesus Christ Superstar, a film I first saw as a child, and for some reason it really resonated with me. Can watch again and again, much to my wife's annoyance. I haven't. This is me now. I haven't seen Jesus. Have you seen Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yeah.
Is it good?
The music in it is amazing. Yeah, I spoke about it last week when is one of my honorable mentions. Very good film. You should watch it. I think you might enjoy it.
Cool. I should. Maybe I will. Then we've got Les Miserables. he says, watched the film before seeing the stage show in London a few years ago, which was amazing, and also starred Phil Daniels. I like Les Mis. Do you like Les Mis?
I've never watched it.
I've only seen the film, but I enjoyed it when I saw it in the cinema. Although, yeah, I like the film. And he says he also, starred Phil Daniels, who he loves in Quadrophenia. Just a brilliant film and soundtrack. Do you know Quadrophenia, Alex?
No.
It's one of the Who's rock operas.
Okay.
And they made a film. It's a film starring Phil Daniels, which I don't think I've seen it. I should watch it because I like the album. And then just a brilliant film soundtrack, as is Tommy is his next choice.
Tommy is Elton John, isn't it?
Well, Elton John is in the film, but it's the Who again.
Okay, cool. I've never seen. I've never listened to it, but sounds good.
Again, I've not seen the film, but I've listened to the album, and it's really good. It's about here, instead of writing anything about Tommy, he's just done the emojis of the monkeys covering their eyes, ears, and mouth, which makes sense because Tommy is about a deaf, dumb, and blind boy who can play pinball really well.
Amazing.
Yeah, hence the song Pinball Wizard, which Elton John performs in the film. It's a good album. And then his last pick is Purple Rain. Massive Prince fan, so this has to be in my top 5.
Cool. I've only seen one of his top 5. I like it. Good
I know, it's a good
suggestion.
varied list. It's really different to our list. I agree as well. I've only seen Les Mis from his list, but I've listened to Quadrophenia and Tommy, and I've listened to the Purple Rain album as well, actually, but I've not seen the film, but I should watch it. Many more, but I do feel some of them blurred the line between musical and soundtrack, and then he's written War of the Worlds, ? And that's a great musical as well.
So you've decided it's a musical. Good.
No, it is. I like it. Have you not seen War of the Worlds?
No.
It's a really good musical.
That's why I thought last week when we talked about musicals, I was really confused because I wasn't sure if I'm not one for the big musicals, but I like the kind of songy. I don't know. Maybe that's why I thought I hadn't watched many musicals, but I had. I don't know.
Yeah. But you mean like maybe the big sort of bombastic musicals aren't?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Then Sarah has sent in her list. Number 1, Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Ooh.
Which is great. I like that one as well. Number 2, Hamilton. Good choice. Number 3, Les Mis. Number 4, Blood Brothers, which I haven't seen. Blood Brothers, have you? No. I think that's only really been live. They've not done a film of it, I don't think. And then she wrote, number 5 is where it really gets hard, but probably Lion King from a watching it live point of view, but it's not one that is... I'm losing that. Sorry, let me read that again. 5 is where it gets really hard. Probably Lion King from watching it live point of view, but it's not one that I listen to the soundtrack of. Okay. Also love Wicked, Matilda, Kinky Boots, and Phantom.
Okay,
of the
cool.
opera, I assume. Then we've got a list from Eliza, who's written number 5, The Blues Brothers, 2 amazing brothers trying to save the orphanage where they grew up.
Yeah, it's amazing music.
A solid pick. I should have put that in my list, probably.
Yeah, I know, but I already put it on my list as one of my favourite top 5 films, so...
Yeah, I mean, Eliza's listing your list. Number 4, Moulin Rouge.
I wonder why, George.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly, I have no idea. She's written Just a Love Story with a Sad Ending, which is a fair description of Moulin Rouge.
It is, isn't it?
It sounds quite tossed off, though, when you write it like that. Just a love story with a sad ending. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
No, good choice. Number 3, Bugsy Malone.
Of course.
1920s gangster movie, but no adults, only children. Their weapons shoot cream, is what she's written there. Number 2, A Chorus Line, a day in on the stage of a Broadway theatre to audition for a new musical production.
Yeah, that was on my...
Honourable mentions, I think, was it?
Yeah.
Yep. And number 1, The Sound of Music. Just before World War II, a young woman that wants to become a nun is sent to a family to be the governess to 7 awful children. She brings back music to the house. Everybody is happy. Then the war starts and they flee to Switzerland, which is a pretty succinct plot summary of The Sound of Music.
Eliza, you're amazing at writing stuff.
Yeah,
maybe
well done, Eliza.
She should become my writer.
She's got some honourable mentions. I have a massive crush on Julie Andrews, but I thought that putting 2 of her films in the top 5 might have been too much. So she's got Mary Poppins, Pitch Perfect 1 and 2, Sister Act, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, sorry for being mean about it last week, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Fame, and West Side Story.
I'm so annoyed about Pitch Perfect. Still so annoyed.
Eliza realised it was a musical.
Wow, you must have told her.
I definitely didn't.
Good top fives. I like them. Definitely some
Yes.
suggestions to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, solid top fives. Especially, well, I mean, they were all good, but Chris's was really different from everyone else's, and I liked that. Well done, Chris. Okay, homework time.
Homework time. I'm scared
Homework time?
today.
Sorry?
I'm scared.
Why?
Well, you're so skeptical about it, and I was just
Right,
been thinking about it. It's gonna like rip it apart, like I ripped apart the. Should have been nicer last week.
No, because as you'll notice last week, you were very mean about the Lighthouse, but I was still very nice about Moonstruck. It's not fair.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm saying I shouldn't be so mean about films I don't like. I should be nicer and say it wasn't my cup of tea for reasons that I'm not going to like get angry about. But I guess the Italian side comes out and I'm like, oh.
Right, yeah. So my homework was to watch Bugsy Malone, the 1976 musical directed by Alan Parker. And your homework, Alex, was to watch the musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once More with Feeling, from season 6.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to go first, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Bugsy Malone is streaming in the UK exclusively on a streaming service called BritBox, which was lucky because I had just gotten like a sort of free trial to it, so I was able to watch it.
Amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
It's rare to find it.
Yeah, apparently so. Like, you'd recommended Oak on YouTube, so I was glad when it was on something I could... Well, I can easily watch YouTube, but obviously... I don't know why I didn't want to watch it on YouTube. It would be fine to watch it on YouTube, wouldn't it?
The quality is not very good on YouTube, but that's the only place that I've found where you can actually watch it without buying the physical copy, which... Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, the picture quality wasn't great on BritBox, so it's probably better than it would be on YouTube, but it wasn't... I don't think it's been redone in HD or anything like that.
No. I used to have the video cassette of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I hated it so much. It made me so annoyed. Really? Alex, I didn't like it at all. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I thought that the... all right, I'll go straight to my biggest issue with it.
Yeah.
Which is that all of the songs are dubbed by adults and it is unforgivable.
Why?
Because they sound terrible. These voices of adults coming out of the mouths of these children. Like, just let the children sing the songs. Like, why are you not letting the children sing the songs? I couldn't bear it. Every time somebody started singing and it was an adult's voice coming out of the mouth of a child, it was like watching a horror film. I didn't get it.
Okay.
And I didn't like the songs, but I'm not going to, I know a lot of people love the songs in it, so I'm not going to say they were bad songs, but I didn't like the songs at all. I found them irritating.
Okay.
And another massive crime, the cream guns don't shoot cream, and it's terrible.
What do they shoot?
They shoot ping pong balls, and then they just cut to a shot of a kid's face where they've thrown cream at the kid's face. But the guns didn't shoot cream. It's all fake.
Okay.
And when you look up the making of the film, the director and the writer talk about it as if they're not actually that happy about the film themselves. It seems like they don't like it.
Oh.
Because they say it was a mistake to have children do the songs, to have adults dub the children, and that they're disappointed that the cream guns didn't work. You look really... I can't tell if you're going to attack me or not.
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. What else to say? I don't know. I just found it quite... I found the child actors ranged from, like... Obviously, Jodie Foster is amazing, but almost... It's like she's too good because she shows up how bad all the other children are in it. And they range from, like, really, really wildly overacting and being too much to, like, the ones, especially, like, the backup singers and backup dancers have just got stone faces staring ahead with like no acting going on whatsoever, and it just I really didn't like it at all. I'm sorry, but that's why I watched Moulin Rouge, which I did like. So that was a win.
Yeah.
I went into it with an open mind. I know I was really cynical about it last week. I would never watch something and then just dislike it because I'd said I wouldn't like it last week, if you see what I mean. I'm happy to change my mind.
Yeah.
I went into it with an open mind as I could, and it just didn't work for me at all. And I'm glad I'm glad that there's only one film where the entire cast is children.
Aw. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm sure there are other films where the cast is only children.
But where they're playing adults.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not for not every film is for everyone.
Driving around in pedal cars.
Yeah, not every film is for everyone. Yeah, I just I find the idea of like having children quite sweet, and like how you would transform like a gangster film with adults to children. I like that idea, and I love the song. So, but it's just
But I guess
like
I don't particularly care about gangster films too much. Like I'm not. Like, I like really good gangster films, like Goodfellas or The Godfather or whatever. But, like, in general, I'm not a fan of gangster films. So that's, like, already not quite my cup of tea. And then I could totally see, like, the thing is, like, it can be quite... The idea of it all being children and stuff is quite sweet. But then the fact that they don't allow them to sing sort of undercuts the whole idea for me. And then, like, I can totally see... If you're a parent or you're a child and your school is doing a production of Bugsy Malone, because I know that happens a lot, especially in the UK, like loads of schools do Bugsy Malone productions. I could totally see it being a really fun time to like watch children that you know performing it and have a good time, or be a child and be in it and have a good time with cream guns. Presumably now they've sorted out the technology and you can get cream guns that shoot cream. Apparently they tried a bunch of different ways to get the cream guns to work, including one where they like encased it in like breakable plastic or something, and it said on like the making of or whatever that like they tested that and it was too painful, so they didn't go with it. And it's just I hope they didn't test it on the children. But I can totally see Bugsy Malone being a good time if it's a live production and you know the people in it, or you're a child, all of that stuff. But the film itself, the Alan Parker movie from 1976, I could not stand.
Cool.
Other than Jodie Foster, who's always
she's amazing in it. Yeah, she's really, really good. Yeah, she's
but the other little girl who plays like the love interest of Bugsy Malone, no, thank you.
Like, you have to remember they're children. You're being pretty mean.
Yeah, but they're not children now. I'm not going to upset any children.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's still a film. Like, somebody still made it and put it out there. It's fair to comment on whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't agree, but it's your opinion. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I don't agree at all. I don't think you went in it with an open mind.
Oh, well, that's not fair to say, because I did.
No, you didn't.
Well, I did.
I know you, George. I know you, George. Once you think that something is going to be crap, it has to be, like, so good for you to enjoy it. Like,
not
amazing.
At all.
Like, for example...
There's so many times I've changed my mind. I'm so willing to change my mind.
No, like
that
with
is
this,
very
like,
unfair.
no, I don't think so.
Yes.
Nah.
Yes.
But,
very
you know,
unfair.
everybody's got their own opinion. And also, Bugsy Malone wasn't in any lists, so maybe it wasn't, like, a hit anyway. So maybe it's just something that I love because it's something that I watched when I was a kid and I thought was amazing, and I know all the songs, and you know, it has to be one of those things that you enjoy when you watch as a kid rather than as an adult for the first time.
Possibly. I mean, like The Goonies, which I don't particularly care for, and a lot of people adore that film.
What did you just say?
The Goonies.
What did you just say? That you don't care for The Goonies?
That I don't like The Goonies very much, because I didn't watch it as a child, and when I did watch it, I wasn't that keen on it.
Oh my God. Like...
What do you... This isn't... It's not even part of our conversation.
I know, you just, like, dropped a bomb. Like, The Goonies is, like, one of the best films ever.
Okay.
Like, well, maybe it's the same, that if you watch as a kid, you know, I think I've seen The Goonies about 10 times. And Bugsy Malone, probably that as well. Like, I've seen these films so many times that, as a kid.
I've seen The Goonies once, and it was okay. I didn't like it very much. Stand By Me is a very good film.
I only like things that make, that are like deep and have got death in it. I don't want to watch films of like kids having an adventure and nothing else happening. George.
Hook's a very good film. Hook's a very good film. Hook.
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 Hook is a great film.
That's a nice film about children having fun. Jumanji.
Yeah, but there's adults in them.
Okay. Fine.
Cool. So it was a 0 out of 5. Great.
No, I'd give it 1 out of 5 for Jodie Foster.
Okay, that's nice.
And there's one song that I thought was okay, where they are jumping up and down on a table.
You don't like So You Want to Be a Boxer?
No, I didn't like that song at all.
What?
They're just all the songs are too quiet, and I just didn't get anything. I just didn't like the songs.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Fine. But don't tell me that you go with an open mind, because once I showed you a video of one of our favorite actresses, Brie Larson, being interviewed and being super funny by what's his name, and she was being super funny. You didn't have to watch him, and you told me, no, I don't like him, so I'm not enjoying this video. I was like, well, look at Brie Larson. Don't look at whatever Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, so don't say you go with an open mind all the time.
That is of no... What are you talking about? It's got nothing to do with anything.
It does. It does.
No, it doesn't. I didn't like that video because Jimmy Fallon's in it, and I find it
exactly. But
irritating.
don't. Yeah, exactly. But you assumed that film was going to be irritating, and you were.
I watched it
from the start. And you didn't give it any chance. You're like, all the songs are rubbish, which is like ridiculous. And the songs are not rubbish. And yeah, you might not like the kids. And I understand if you don't like the kids and the fact that they're like balls and not cream. Oh my God. But the songs are not bad.
I didn't like them. I thought they were boring.
Fine. Good.
Sorry.
Moving on. I
liked
watched
Moulin Rouge.
Good. That wasn't your homework. And you were not uppity about it before watching it.
It doesn't... Oh, right, okay.
Cool. So I had to watch season... Just a moment.
No.
7. So I had to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6 episode 7 Once More with Feeling. It's the musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, please.
So in this period of time, Buffy is not very happy because she's been resurrected and she's not feeling life. And everybody's trying to be kind to her and, protect her because, she's not being herself. And I think Willow is having some problems with her girlfriend.
She's using too much magic.
She's using too much magic. And then Xander is engaged with his girlfriend. And then the sister keeps stealing stuff, I think.
There you go. They're the main themes of series 6.
Yes. And
but Buffy was in heaven. That's why she's upset.
Yeah, she's upset because she was in heaven.
But they all think that she was in hell.
Yes. So it starts normally. Buffy wakes up. Everything is okay. And then she goes to a grave. And she starts killing demons or vampires. And she starts singing. And she starts singing how happy she is. And blah, blah, blah. And that's it. That's it. Like, so the episode is just them singing, but what they're singing is things they're actually feeling and that they haven't talked about, and which is quite fun. And it's a fun episode. It's really like I can understand why you like it. It's different from other episode, I guess, because they don't really sing in other episodes, and
Yeah, that's definitely true.
they've got some good singing. They've got some good singing from some of the characters, some not so good singing from other characters.
Who do you think isn't good at singing?
Sarah Michelle Gellar is not great at singing, but they didn't change her voice, so that's her voice. So it feels more like it's a spell rather than.
There is a bit of auto tune on it, apparently.
Is there? Well,
yeah, because it was Alison Hannigan doesn't sing in it at all, and she said afterwards if she'd known that they could do sort of post-production effects on the voices to make them better, like happened to apparently Sarah Michelle Gellar, she might have agreed to do a bit more singing. But yeah, she's not. But they offered Sarah Michelle Gellar a voice, like they offered to have somebody sing, dub her lines or whatever, and she wanted to do it herself because obviously it's a big emotional episode for the character, and she didn't want somebody else to have those lines or whatever.
So I thought it was good. The songs were good, and is in a classic Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode. Remind you of the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was good. It was fun to watch it, and if there's another lockdown here, I might start watching it again as well because I thought it was really good. The only thing I did not like was the kiss at the end with Spike. God, that was awful. That was an awful kiss. Like if you ever do the top 5 awful kiss on screen, that is one of them. That was horrendous. Like it does no feeling whatsoever between those two, and you can feel it, and there's no chemistry. Like I remember, her and Angel, there used to be like some chemistry, but then you go, why is Buffy even interested in this guy? They're so not, I don't know. And then they kissed. I was like, oh, that was awful. But they love each other, which is good.
Well, I don't know. That's the first time they kiss ever in it, and then it builds on the relationship quite a lot as it goes on past there.
Okay,
so
I
think that they struggle with chemistry at the start, but I think it does end up becoming a bit more of an interesting relationship.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was interesting, and also like the fact that in the 90s they were talking about being gay already, which is good because there's still controversy when there's like too much gayness around, and no, it's good.
Well, I think that it's not in that episode, but the first ever episode where Willow and Tara kiss on screen was the first ever same-sex lesbian kiss on network TV in America.
And that's in the 90s, isn't it? Like late 90s.
I think it
late,
was early noughties, but pretty recent.
But no, it was good. It brought back memories and some nostalgia of when I used to be in college and watch it. And I think I have watched the episode, but because I remember the song that she sings with Willow, where Willow sings with her girlfriend.
I
remember that one, and I remember when they're in the I just remember various things. I'm not sure if I watched the entire episode or was long ago, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was nice. It's good fun episode, and it was good.
Was there a song that stood out? Was there any standout track?
I think the ones that stood out was when the Willow's girlfriend, which I can't remember her name, Tara, when she sang, because her voice is amazing. Yeah,
she was like the secret weapon of that episode, people said. Nobody knew that she had such a good voice.
Yeah, I thought her songs were really good. And A Walk Through the Fire was quite good, like the song at the end where they all go, walk through the fire.
That bit where they're like, we'll be hand in hand, and then they that
was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool song. And it's a good episode. It's good that you can watch something without watching all the episodes. Understand it could be a standalone episode. And
it does a reasonable job of kind of everything you need to know is there.
Yeah, and what I liked was just the demon. It was just so funny. Like it's the classic prosthetics of that era. Like in Charm, they used very similar ones, and in just kind of like this kind of standard demon-looking guy. It's quite funny. He was really good as well. He was a good singer.
Oh, he's like a Broadway guy, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's like a real,
Yeah. And then I remembered that Buffy's sister, then she was in Gossip Girl. I didn't realize that she was the same person.
Oh, really? Michelle Trachtenberg?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I like her. Yeah. A lot of people don't like her character in it, but I really like Dawn. I think she's good.
Well, she's a bit problematic, isn't she? She's not...
Well, like, she's a bit whingy and whiny, but I'm like...
Yeah.
The characters in Buffy are a bit older than me, but I'm like the same age as Dawn. Or like when I was watching it, I was Dawn's age, if you see what I mean. So I kind of... Not necessarily identified with her. I don't know. I don't know. She's not a perfect character, and she's got like things people dislike about her, but I like her. I like Dawn.
Yeah. But no, I enjoyed watching it. It was fun. It was good. Yeah. And just like kind of like I always found, even when I watched it when I was younger, kind of the awkward acting. Sometimes I have like some really awkward moments that kind of makes it quite natural. Buffy.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I don't know. Yeah, I just remember that when I watched it. But yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it's cheesy at times.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure. Oh, that's good. Cool. Good. That's homework then.
By the way, where's Buffy's mum?
Oh, she's dead.
Okay, forgot about
She
that.
dies in season 5.
Okay, bye.
In a horrible episode called The Body that I will not ever talk about.
Okay.
It's just awful. It's so upsetting. I cried 4 times watching it recently.
Oh.
And it's like four long scenes in a row, and each scene is heartbreaking. Anyway, it's awful. Just awful.
Just awful.
But like good, like probably the best episode really, but also just horrible, and I can't even think about it without being upset.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
So let's move on to the most difficult list we've ever had to write. Our top 5 90s films.
So hard. I finished it just like 3 seconds before we started recording, basically.
Yeah, I had it, and then my number 5 entry changed at the last second. Because I decided I couldn't leave this film out.
Okay.
It was almost a list of 5 action films as well. Because for me, the 90s is like the era of the action movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Comedy and action. Like,
yeah.
What I decided, because I went, if anybody, George introduced me a few years ago to this site called Letterboxd, where you can log all your films.
We have a link to our Letterboxd on the show notes.
Yes, and it's a great website and really helped me this time. And I didn't realize until this time that you could look at the when it was the eras. So I went to the 90s and I watched 259 films released in the 90s. And I was like, how am I going to choose 5 from 259 films? It was so hard. But I don't know how you did it. I went with the ones that I felt more the 90s for me and were particularly good, like, for me, are classic 90s films rather than films that maybe are not so 90s. I don't know.
I think similar.
Yeah.
Similar. Mine are all like early to mid 90s as well.
Yeah.
So like proper 90s era films. That exemplify.
For example, there's one of my favorite films that's like Pulp Fiction, but I didn't put it in because I don't feel like that's a 90s film. That's a Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I mean when I said I put 90s films in, that like they feel like the era we were in at that time.
My list was 5 action movies, and then it was 2 comedies and 3 action movies, and now it's 1 psychological thriller, 1 comedy, and 3 action films. So
nice.
It's slightly more varied than it was when I first wrote it.
Yeah, mine changed constantly.
Yeah, and then my honourable mentions list is silly. So let's just see how we do. So should we
Okay.
start? My number 5?
Yeah, number 5.
My number 5 is 1991's The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
Mm.
very nice.
Yeah, directed by Joe Dante. It is the tale of FBI agent Clarice Starling in her attempts to track down the serial killer known as Buffalo Bill. She is put in touch with the captured serial killer Hannibal Lecter and goes to interview him to find out if he can help track down the elusive Buffalo Bill. Stars Jodie Foster, who we talked about earlier, all grown up as Clarice Starling. Yes, she's a lady now, and she's Clarice Starling. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter and Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill, along with a host of other brilliant 90s character actors. It's iconic. I'm sure if you're listening to our podcast, there's a good probability you've seen it. Obviously, the highlight of the movie is Hannibal Lecter as Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. The interrogation scenes between Clarice and Hannibal are amazing, and it was my favourite film for quite a long time. And I love serial killer films, which is an odd sentence, but I really enjoy serial killer movies. And the 90s had its fair share, but for certain, there's nothing that beats The Silence of the Lambs. It is a fantastic film, so much fun. Anthony Hopkins' performance is an all-time perfect performance. It's one of those rare sort of horror-type movies that actually managed to win Oscars. It's just brilliant. I love it. And I think you were frozen for a moment there.
Yeah, but I managed to hear most of you.
Oh, that's fine. So, have you seen it?
No.
You haven't seen Silence of the Lambs?
No.
Why?
Because it looks terrifying. And I know it will be terrifying because Anthony Hopkins is terrifying. It's terrifying. Like, he's... Like, just watching him doing his scene... And I don't know, it just feels terrifying. In the sense of, like, how... I'm sure there's no, like, blood or anything. Just how...
there's definitely blood
face... Anthony Hopkins' face is terrifying in it. Like, I don't think I could sleep. So I haven't watched it. I might watch it one day. You know, it's on my list of watching films I need to watch, but I've never. No, I would.
You should definitely get around to seeing it. It is. I can see how you could see. It is scary, but it's not an outright horror film. It's more of a thriller.
Yeah, a psychological thriller that will make you more terrified than a horror film.
Not me personally, but yeah, sure.
Yeah,
it's great. So, just for my own enjoyment, I wrote out a quote to go with each film. So my quote for The Silence of the Lambs is, "I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti."
Oh, no. Like, see, even if you haven't watched the film, you know that. Oh.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great bit. So yeah, that's my number 5, The Silence of the Lambs. It's great. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. Please watch it. What's your number 5, Alex?
My number 5 is an awesome 90s films that is a great 90s film. Today I can't speak. I think most of mine today are comedies because I feel maybe with me the 90s are like comedies is their best. Silly comedies. So my number 5 is 1993 film Mrs. Doubtfire.
Ooh, what a choice.
Oh, I was not sure if to put this, and then I watched clips and I watched trailers and I read, and I was like, this is the best film ever. It's so silly but so good, so funny. It stars Robin Williams, Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan, Harry Fierstein, and then all the kids, which I can't remember their names, but it's a great.
Isn't Matilda's in it? Isn't she? Is Matilda one of the kids?
Yeah, Matilda's in it. Yeah, Mara Wilson.
I wish I remembered her name. Mara Wilson.
Yeah.
Mara Wilson. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the story about this father that after like a bad birthday for his son, his wife decides to divorce him, and he really loves his kids, and he can only see them once a week. And when he sees his wife put an ad for a nanny, he decides to, you know, transform into Mrs. Doubtfire, the perfect nanny, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's a really really good film, and it's there's a lot of slapstick comedy. I love Robin Williams. In the 90s, he was amazing. You had to choose between. Well, I had to choose between Jumanji, Hook. It's like, well, but I think Mrs. Doubtfire is classic 90s films that I don't think can be done again, and I think that's another choice that I made. I don't think this kind of film will be able to be done again in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, probably not. And it's hard to. There's not really another Robin Williams, is there? Like, there's no one else that could make. Like, Mrs. Doubtfire, like a lot of his best movies, as well as being really funny, is kind of really upsetting and sad.
Yeah. That
Like, he really was sort of
such a. Sorry?
Yeah, tragic side to his. There's always a tragic side to his films, I feel like, or like his best films.
Yeah. And I think it's really, really, really good and funny. And one of my favorite scenes have always been when social services has to go to his house, and he hasn't got a mask on, and he has to put this his face in the pie in the fridge.
Oh yeah.
Like a face mask, and apparently it was dripping, and it was not like that was not supposed to be dripping, but it did, and it kept it in, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just a really nice film that just brings really nice memories. And,
no, that's totally fair.
Yeah, and it's a great 90s movie. Yeah.
I think for me, I think I'd pick Jumanji if I was picking a Robin Williams film, but that's just because of my love of horror and adventure movies.
Yeah,
because I found Jumanji really scary when I watched it as a child. It's like a really terrifying.
It is
but that's and it's also not as funny. So I'm not. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Mrs. Doubtfire is your choice and it's amazing. But Jumanji is the Robin Williams movie that sticks with me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. My number 5.
Yeah?
What's your number 4?
Number 5, a good choice. My number 5 is also a comedy. And I love Robin Williams, but this guy is the guy who like ruled the 90s when it came to comedies for me. And of all his movies, I've picked the one that just for me personally sticks with me the most, even though I think it's not one of his most popular. I've gone with 1994's Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, starring Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
The second Ace Ventura movie.
Yeah, that's the second one, yeah.
Yeah, which for me is... I've watched it more than the first one. I mean, it's about... So Ace Ventura is a pet detective, which doesn't mean anything, really.
No.
But he's a pet detective who is hired by... he's hired by someone to go to... I can't remember. Where does he go in the film? Hang on.
Was it not? I can't remember.
Like it says, he's summoned to Africa, but that's such a... It's like saying you've been summoned to Europe. Like it's a really vague... Like I was going to criticize the first Ace Ventura movie because it's got this horrible transphobic sequence at the end where they make this huge joke about a character that's just... It wouldn't happen today, and it's aged really badly. And like that's part of the reason why I'd pick this one over the first one. But then the way they treat Africa and sort of tribes people and stuff is also incredibly like dismissive and not great and wouldn't happen to. So I don't know. Anyway, he's summoned to Africa to find a missing bat. Basically, that's the plot of the film.
Yeah.
It stars Jim Carrey, obviously, along with Simon Callow, Ian McNeice, and Sophie Okonedo. It says here, and it's sort of just the silliest film ever. It's just an opportunity for Jim Carrey to be endlessly ridiculous. It opens with an amazing scene of him trying to get a slinky all the way down the steps of this enormous temple. It gets all the way and there's just like one step left. It's like, so close. And then when he's in Africa, there's my favourites. There's a couple of scenes I always remember. One is when he's driving this Jeep to this colonial house or whatever in the middle of this jungle. He's driving this Jeep through the jungle and he starts singing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And he's just screaming, bang, bang, chitty chitty bang, bang. And then he flips the car and it just spins through the air and then crashes and smashes right into this parking space in this car park. And then he just looks out the window and goes, like a glove. And that's my quote for this film. And that's the moment I always remember the most. I love that bit. Like a glove. And the bit where he sees a lady wearing fur and attacks her husband because he looks like the Monopoly Man is also amazing. So, yeah. I assume you've seen Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, Alex.
Yeah. That's a silly film. Yeah. You cannot dislike Ace Ventura films. They're silly, they're funny, and, absurd as well.
They are completely absurd. Yeah, when he bends over and talks out of his bum, that's pretty good.
It's such a 90s film, isn't it?
Oh, it's so 90s, yeah, completely.
Yeah.
There's a bit where Simon Callow is presenting to Ace Ventura with like an overhead projector, which doesn't really exist anymore. But when they'd like put it up on the wall and project an image, and he stands in front of the image, and Jim Carrey just like reaches up and does shadow puppets of tweaking his nipples. And then Simon Callow sees what he's doing and pulls his vest closed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I love Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. So that's my number 4 pick. How about you?
Nice. I like it. My number 4 pick is probably the silliest film on my list. I had to put it because it's an action comedy film. And there's a lot of stereotypes in it, which I don't condone, but it's part of kind of 90s action films, I think.
Yeah, sure.
The bad Middle Eastern man, the sexy Asian woman, And this film is 1994. True Lies.
Ooh, True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. So it's a film directed by James Cameron and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, which I love. The weird thing is, I think I've only seen this film in Italian. Yeah. And today I was watching clips from it and I was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger has got like the thickest accent. Like, he never changed his accent, did he?
Oh no, yeah. And he's meant to be playing like an American-born spy in this film, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so silly. So I after watching him like trying to speak in an American accent, I was like, this film is even better. So the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harry Tasker, has a double life. So he's a secret agent. And that can do anything, and but because he's secret at home, he pretends to be a computer salesman. His wife gets really bored of him not being at home and leading a boring life. She finds kind of comfort in a man that tells him that he's a secret agent. Tells her he's a secret agent. And when Arnold Schwarzenegger finds this out, he decides to kind of like give us some excitement. But then him and his wife actually get kidnapped, and then there's a big thing. It's beautiful. And then there's like action, and there's bombs, and there's nuclear bombs, and there's like helicopter scenes where Jamie Lee Curtis hangs with this little black dress from a helicopter. Apparently she did everything herself, which is amazing.
She's incredible.
She tangos with him. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
He jumps a horse off a roof. He jumps a horse off a skyscraper. It's ludicrous.
It's just a perfect, for me, 90s action comedy film where anything can happen. It's silly, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's got everything that you possibly want from a film.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love True Lies.
Their daughter is played by Eliza Dushku, who plays Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So there's a connection.
Wow.
You can keep that. That's for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And my mum loves that film, and the bit that she always talks about that just makes her laugh so much is just the image of Arnold Schwarzenegger walking a small dog.
Yes. It's just, I don't know, like in Italian, it made so much sense to cast Arnold Schwarzenegger in that film, but then watching it, I'm like, what? Why? How? How did?
But that's his whole career is just him playing Americans and just having to accept that he's got an Austrian accent.
Yeah, like a really thick one. He still has it. He's been in America for years. But no, it's a good film. It's got like bad stereotypes and not correct, but it's just such like a 90s film that I just had to put it in, and I love it.
I think the thing that really makes it a 90s action film as well is that it's 7 days long.
Yeah.
It's such a long... And action movies in the 90s had no issues being like 2.5 hours long, even though it's such a silly... It's not like a big... It doesn't have a complex story that needs all that time. It just decides it wants to be 2.5 hours long, so it is.
Yeah.
It's great.
So good. But yeah. What's your number 3?
My number 3 pick is a James Bond film.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the second Pierce Brosnan film of the list, as he was the Bond of the 90s. I've, of course, gone with 1995's GoldenEye.
Ooh.
Yeah. The first James Bond film of the Pierce Brosnan era. It sort of, after a few years away in the cold... after not totally successful Timothy Dalton era, James Bond was brought back with a bang in the mid-90s with Pierce Brosnan going up against Sean Bean as a rogue agent who wants to use a big satellite to cause a global financial meltdown. All he needed to really do was wait about 10 years, but never mind. If he just waited about a decade, he'd have got what he wanted.
Maybe he did it anyway.
Yeah, maybe maybe what's actually been happening recently is James Bond has been failing his missions.
Yeah, and like everything is coming up now,
Yeah.
Viruses not under control, financial crashes,
Yeah, no, completely. Bond needs to sort himself out. Really, pull himself together. Get back to it. Directed by Martin Campbell, starring Pierce Brosnan, Sean Bean, Judi Dench, Isabella Scorupco, Famke Janssen, Jodon Baker. It's sort of the classic Pierce Brosnan Bond movie. It's brilliant. It's got a great theme tune by Tina Turner. And I just remember watching, like when I was growing up, ITV used to show a James Bond film. I think it was every Saturday they'd show one Bond film in order. Oh. And I used to watch them with my granddad, and he'd tell me all about them, and it was just a great... I grew up adoring James Bond, and then GoldenEye was sort of the Bond of my era. There was a great video game based on it, and I just have very fond memories of it, and I love it. You won't have seen it, I imagine, Alex?
No, I haven't seen it.
No. Well...
I know the song.
Yeah, GoldenEye.
I like the tune.
Yeah,
GoldenEye.
Weakness.
Yes.
Written by U2.
Oh, good.
Well, written by Bono and The Edge, but performed by Tina Turner.
Nice. But I haven't seen it.
That's a silly name for a man, The Edge. What are you doing? Anyway.
Why?
Don't say why as if that's a ridiculous statement. Yeah, and then he made Tomorrow Never Dies, which is wonderful. I really love Tomorrow Never Dies. Jonathan Pryce plays an evil media mogul in that movie, and it's again predicting the future. And then The World Is Not Enough, which isn't as good, but it's great. And then Die Another Day, which is awful. And then Daniel Craig came back to save us all. But GoldenEye will always remain pretty special for me. So yeah, that's my number 3 pick.
Yeah. Nice, I like it.
Thank you. What's your next choice?
My number 3 pick is a film called Addams Family Values.
Wow. Okay.
is not the first Addams Family film, but is the second Addams Family films. Starring Angelica Houston, being amazing as always. Raul Julia, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Sorry, I don't want to disrupt you, but I read something when I watched Moonstruck a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I read that Cher, she didn't make any more movies after Moonstruck, but she was almost in the Addams Family movies, presumably playing Gomez and what's she called?
Morticia.
Morticia, presumably Cher was potentially going to play Morticia at some point. Angelica Houston is amazing, but I think Cher would have also been incredible. It's interesting to think about that alternate dimension.
I cannot think about that.
Sorry to disrupt you.
No, it's fine. But it would be amazing. But also, I don't think I would have loved this film as much. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, amazing. You blew my mind, actually. Can you imagine if Cher was Morticia Addams?
I wouldn't. Angelica Houston is... It's not as if they got a bad one instead. Like, Angelica Houston is perfect as Morticia.
It's perfect. And that's the thing. That's what, you're right. Maybe Cher would have been amazing as well.
I think Cher could have done something incredible with it as well. Like, Cher is so good in Moonstruck. I'm now convinced of her genius completely. So... I could see it. I could totally see it. And they should have got Nic Cage to play Gomez, and that would have been a perfect Addams Family film.
Amazing. But yeah, so Christopher Lloyd, and then there's Christina Ricci, and her brother's not as famous, Jimmy Workman. And then in this one, there's also Joan Cusack.
Oh, she is something else in this film.
Yeah, so this film is it's about the Addams Family, which is like a very strange family. But this one is the Morticia and Gomez have a new baby, Pubert, and his older siblings Wednesday and Pugsley keep trying to murder him. So they decide to get a nanny, Debbie, to protect him, but they don't know that Debbie is an actual serial killer who kills all of her husbands.
She's a black widow.
She's a black widow, yes, and then Debbie plans to marry Uncle Fester, which she does, and then try to kill him. But she can't because he's an Adam. He's part of the Addams Family. But also, I think the best part of the film is they go to Camp Chippewa.
Yeah, this is why I love this movie. Is the camp scenes.
Yeah, the camp scenes are the best scenes, and that's why I put it in, because every time I think about the camp scenes, I'm like, yes, baby, I love this film. And although it's a good film, I love all of it. The moments that really I adore is when they're camp. It's called Camp Chippewa.
Something like that. There's the bit where she fires the arrow and kills a rabbit.
So at the end of this camp, they have to do a play, and and the play is about the pilgrims, and it all goes as planned. But then Wednesday's Pocahontas, and when the pilgrims say, "Oh, you need to come and join us for this meal," she goes, "I cannot share bread with you. You have killed and taught," and she goes on and on and on, and then they have there's fire. They throw fire arrows. They try. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene. Just a really, really good movie. I love Wednesday. I think she's got the best lines. And there's a scene in the hospital while Morticia's having her baby, and there's this kid who's like, the stork arrived, and they put a diamond under a cabbage, and there was I. and then Wednesday just turns to the kid and goes, "Our parents had sex." It's just perfect. It's just a perfect scene, and
Is it in this one or the first one where her and Pugsley are doing a school play, and they do it as a Jallo play where they're cutting off each other's arms and blood is spraying all over the audience? Do you remember that?
I think that's the first one. That's the first one.
I always remember that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Yeah, and
And-
I like the first one, but I've always loved this one more. And
Yeah,
I
agreed.
like the Addams Family, and I like the concept of it, and I loved Angelica Houston as Morticia, and because
Yeah.
I used to watch the series, like the really old series on TV as well
Oh, really?
when I was younger. Yeah, and I don't know, I just love it, and but this one with the camp is just the perfect time, and it's beautiful. And Wednesday smiles. There's a scene where Wednesday smiles, and everybody goes, "Oh my god!" She's
Oh,
so
yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
It's just a perfect scene, and yeah, I love it. I think it's a great film, and yeah, it's and there's not much else to say about it, really.
There's one
Did you
more thing
like
to
it?
say. There's one more thing
What?
to say, Alex. The camper, the blonde girl camper that doesn't like Wednesday. Do you remember her?
Yeah,
She is played by Mercedes McNabb, who plays
yeah.
Harmony in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So there you go.
Oh my
Another
god,
connection.
beautiful.
You can keep
Yeah,
that. You can have that. That's for you.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Also, it's an amazing film. I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
I've not seen it
Yeah.
in years, actually.
I
Years and
was
years.
watching all the clips today, and it was just like, yes, this has to be going because and another totally like 90s film. Because
Yeah,
now they've done
definitely.
the Addams Family, but they've done it in animation, which I think is going to be good. But I don't think you could have that kind of humor, kind of edging on kind of inappropriate humor anymore and being funny. I think you either have, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to upset you, but Tim Burton is making an Addams Family something at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll see. It might be good.
He wants Gomez to be played
No.
by Johnny Depp.
Just don't make me vomit, please. Sorry. I had a Johnny Depp movie in my top 5, then I took it off. I decided that. He wants Johnny Depp to play Gomez. Fine.
That's
Tim
what I was
Burton.
reading. Yeah, recently. But I can't. I don't know if he's making a TV show or a film or what. But it's not because they did do that animated movie last year that was apparently okay, and it's
Yeah.
not that. It's some live action thing that he's doing. But
Oh, good trivia about this film, which is not trivia, but like the lighting on Morticia Addams was always different, which was funny because why did it have to be like that?
oh,
So if you watch clips, she only has like light on her eyes, so her
All right.
eyes always look like really lit up and beautiful. I don't know why they did that, but it's just a
Interesting.
really nice touch. Yeah.
yeah, I like it. Doesn't the baby have a little mustache like Gomez as well?
The baby has a mustache.
That's pretty
It's just a
good.
beautiful film. Yeah, just a beautiful film. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that was your number 3, right?
Yeah.
Cool. My number 2 is a film from 1991. It is my Arnold Schwarzenegger choice for because you've got to have an Arnie movie in your top 5.
Yes.
It is Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Have you seen it?
I think I've seen all the Terminators. But you know, there's those films that you watch when you're a kid on TV, and then you watch it again. It's like, oh, I have seen it, but let me check. Terminator 2, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I definitely have seen the first 2.
Yeah.
Judgment Day. Yeah. No, I've seen it.
Cool. It is a science fiction action film directed by James Cameron, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick, and Edward Furlong. It's a sequel to The Terminator, which came out in 1984. And I remember watching The Terminator when I was pretty young, actually. I think I saw the first Terminator movie and thinking it was brilliant. And then I watched Terminator 2 and I was like, oh my God, how did they... Like, Terminator 2 is one of the most perfect movies I've ever seen. I adore Terminator 2 so much. It's so much fun. Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor is so good in it. Like, between the first film and this film, she's become this grizzled, like, veteran who's got PTSD and she's locked up in this, insane asylum. Edward Furlong is kind of the big problem in the movie. He's not great, but he plays her son, John Connor, who's going to go on to be the savior of mankind, and teaches the Terminator how to say "Hasta la vista, baby" and other things like that. And the pure genius, is that in the first movie, the T-800 is the bad guy who's trying to hunt down Linda Hamilton and kill her to stop her from giving birth to John Connor. In this film, the T-800, it's a different one. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the good guy, and Robert Patrick is the evil Terminator, the T-1000, the liquid metal guy. Oh, I feel
terrifying.
ill. I feel sick thinking about how good it is. He is terrifying. That scene in the asylum when he's squeezing through the bars. Oh, it's just there's a great bit where like John Connor is with the Terminator and they're trying to work out if his foster parents are still okay, and they ring up the foster parents and he's like, "What's your dog called?" And he says something like Max, and the Terminator says, "Oh, is Wolfie okay?" Because he's using John Connor's voice. And you see his foster mum go, "Oh yeah, Wolfie's just in the garden, he's fine." And then the T-800 just goes, "Your foster parents are dead." And then it cuts back and you see that she's actually the liquid metal guy, and she's got this big blade through the head of the foster dad. Oh, it's amazing. And it's gone right through the milk carton. Like, the shots are so good. She's got this blade that's gone through the milk carton he was drinking from. There's all milk spilling on the floor, and it's coming out the end of the milk carton and going right through his head. Incidentally played by Xander Berkeley, who plays George Mason in 24. Yes, please. It is... It's amazing. It's so good. It's just fun. It's exciting. It's got Guns N' Roses songs in it. I mean, literally, what more could you want from the 90s than Terminator 2 Judgment Day? There is one thing you could want more, and I'll talk about that in my number one pick. But Terminator 2 is about as good as movies get. I adore it. I could watch it just about any day of the week and be happy with it. So it had to be on the list. So there it is.
Choice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the absolute best. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. Your foster parents
that guy's
are dead.
terrifying. That guy's terrifying. Like, I'm looking at pictures now of the Metal Man, the Liquid Metal Man.
Yeah.
And he looks quite sweet, doesn't he? But then you think about the scenes in the movie and you go, "Oh no, he's terrifying. No,
yeah, because he just has these dead eyes and when he's running and he runs, he has this run where his arms are like blades just going. It's just like and when he's chasing down the car and he turns.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Nobody can see us, but we just did the same thing.
We did the run on camera.
And
then when he's describing how he can't, there's just quotes from it that aren't cool quotes or anything. But I just remember, like, there's a bit where he's describing to John Connor how the liquid metal guy can only be basic things. He can't, like, be a gun or a bomb or anything. He can only be blades, and it's all just like the mythology of the movie is so exciting. For, like, when I watched it when I was about 12, it was just all so cool. It seemed like the coolest ideas ever, like robots coming from the future to kill, and you know, the franchise has gone on to produce a lot of, like, Terminator 1 and 2 are brilliant. Terminator 3 is bad. Terminator... There was the Christian Bale one that is mostly well known for the famous meltdown audio of Christian Bale screaming at somebody on set, and I can't even remember the name of it now. It's called Terminator Salvation, I think. Awful film. Then they did Terminator Genesis, which is horrific. And then about a year ago, they did Terminator Dark Fate, which I really enjoyed, and it's positioned as a direct sequel to Terminator 2 and ignores all the other sequels, but it did not do well, and a lot of people hated it, so I'll be surprised if we see much more Terminator.
Yeah.
But we'll always have Terminator 2, and that's all we need.
But I think that's one thing that gets the 90s, like, action films. They don't take themselves too seriously, these kind of films. Like, they're good... And they're also terrifying. They're scary. They keep you on your edge, but they're not too serious. They're not like. And I feel if you do a Terminator now, especially with Christian Bale, it's just gonna be like this serious thing, and it's not supposed to be like highbrow film. It's a Terminator.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Christian Bale was not the right choice to be in a Terminator movie. Like, he can't... That whole movie is a bad idea. Like, it's yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And that's kind of what works about Terminator Dark Fate, is it's a bit silly and a bit goofy, but that in 2019, it doesn't work in the way it did in the 90s, sadly. It does for me, but it doesn't for general audiences, because people were not too keen. But I love that that's why I just love 90s action films, because they're so silly and they're so goofy and they don't care about reality, like True Lies and Terminator 2 and my number one pick we'll talk about when I get to it and stuff. Like, it's just silly fun, and that's all it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is for me like an incredible 90s films, which I actually on Saturday night I just listened to all the songs from it and sang them because I thought it was really good. And it's Sister Act.
Oh.
1992 Sister Act.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen this film.
No.
You're not going to watch as a homework, because if you destroy this film, you will actually break my heart. So hopefully you haven't seen my number 1. But yeah. So this is hey?
That's weird.
What?
Why do you think I wouldn't like it?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know anything. But yeah. So it stars Whoopi Goldberg, Maggie Smith, and lots of other people, and it's about Dolores, played by Bluky, Whoopi Goldberg,
Bloopy Blowberg.
Played by Whoopi Goldberg. She is a lounge singer in Reno, Nevada, and she's the lead of this girl trio. And her boyfriend is the owner of this casino. One night, she witnesses her partner killing someone, and she needs to be put in witness protection. And what better place to put somebody in witness protection than a convent? Woo-hoo! So she gets put in witness protection in a convent, and so she has to dress like a nun, and then she realizes that this convent hasn't got much money, and there's a choir in the convent. She can sing. What can we do? So she makes the choir better, and the convent gets more people. It's just like it's like an action comedy film. It's really, really good, and I love it.
Doesn't sound like is it an action film?
Well, there is some action moments.
Okay.
There are guns shot. There are nuns running away. It's good. It's amazing. The music is amazing. I love the music in it, and it's a really fun, nice, happy, good film, and comedy and funny. Yeah. So yeah, and I love it. I just love everything about this film, and it just reminds me of the 90s.
The second one has a very clever title that I've always enjoyed, even though I haven't seen it.
Sister Act 2.
Back in the Habit.
Back in the Habit.
It's
Sister
clever.
Act 2 is another spectacular film. Like, that's good. I could have put Sixth Around. I could have put
Sixter stacked.
I could have put Sister Act 1 and Sister Act 2 at the same time, because Sister Act 2's got Lauryn Hill in it.
No,
Lauryn
really?
Hill. Yes, baby.
Lauryn Hill from The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yes. Like,
wow.
it's a
from the
good
Fugees.
film.
That's crazy.
From the Fugees. And it's an hour and 40 minutes of pure amazingness, this film. It's got, the thing and the twist and the action and it's beautiful. But yeah.
Fair dues.
Very good. Yeah, and I love Whoopi Goldberg. I there's a lot of films in the 90s that she was in. I wish she was in more films. But yeah.
Yeah, she's too busy presenting that chat show now.
Yeah, The View.
The View.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good film. Yeah.
Cool, good. I've not seen it, like I said, but not for any choice. It's just one that I've never watched. But yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, I nearly put it in my musicals the other day, but I didn't. So I thought I'd put it in here.
Fair dues.
What's your number 1? I'm excited to hear your number 1.
My number 1 is a movie that I just it flows through my veins. I love it so much. You've probably heard me and Dan talking about this movie. I think you might have watched it with me and Dan. I don't remember. I watched it with Dan when we lived in Japan. I think you were there. It's the absolute best. I adore it. It's so much fun. It's a Michael Bay film, back from when Michael Bay made actual entertaining movies that were fun and enjoyable. It is 1996's The Rock.
The Luck.
The Rock.
Ah, The Rock.
The Rock. Starring Nicolas Cage.
Yes, of
Sean
course I've seen it. Yes.
Connery. Ed Helms. No, not Ed Helms. Ed Harris. Who else is in it? I think David Morse, William Forsythe, Michael Biehn. How to describe The Rock? Ed Harris is a sort of army man who's upset about the way that the American government has treated his army men friends. So to get back at them, he steals a bunch of chemical weapons and takes them to Alcatraz, the prison island off the coast of San Francisco. He takes over the prison and demands that they give a load of money to the widowed families of the soldiers he knows who died. Otherwise, he's going to launch these chemical nerve gas agents over San Francisco and kill a load of people. Who do the FBI send to stop? They send Nicolas Cage playing
Nicolas.
chemical super freak, FBI special agent Dr. Stanley Goodspeed, who is going to be able to stop these bombs going off or stop these missiles from being launched with his knowledge of chemical weapons. But he doesn't know the island. He doesn't know how to get into Alcatraz. They'll need someone to help. They need someone who's escaped from Alcatraz. But nobody's escaped from Alcatraz. But wait, one man has escaped from Alcatraz. But it was all hushed up. And he's been locked away for years, not allowed to see the outside world because he's so dangerous. It is SAS Captain John Patrick Mason, played by Sean Connery.
Oh, Sean.
The original Bond... recently deceased, R.I.P. A man who held some troubling opinions on the on whether or not he should be allowed to beat his wife, which is unfortunate. He wasn't the nicest man, but no, he was an awful man. But his performance in The Rock is something to behold. I adore this movie. Yeah, it's great. It's really good. You've seen it, Alex.
Yeah, of course I have. It's so good. Like, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And silly, but so good. And yeah.
It's 136 minutes long. It's so long. There's probably about 45 minutes before they even go to Alcatraz, where they have this ludicrous car chase through the streets of San Francisco, where like this tram goes off its rails and is screaming down the hill. And my favourite bit of the entire film is in this car chase where Nicolas Cage steals a Ferrari, chases after Sean Connery in it, crashes a Ferrari, gets out and stands up, and this kid on a bike goes, "Dude, you just totaled your Ferrari." And Nicolas Cage, the coolest man in the world, just goes, "It's not mine," and takes this kid's bicycle and steals his bike and cycles away on it. And I want to be in 1% as cool as Nicolas Cage is in that moment when he crashes a Ferrari and says it's not his. Oh, I'd love it. And yeah, there's a million other quotes that are just perfect and wonderful. But yeah, it's my favorite 90s action film. It's over the top, ludicrous, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not based on it's not a sequel to anything. It's not based on any existing franchise. It's just its own original thing about having to go and sneak into Alcatraz. Oh, and I love it.
It's so good.
John C. McGinley, who plays Dr. Cox in Scrubs, is in it in a tiny role, which is always a fun little bit to be like, oh, that's Dr. Cox, look at him.
That's Dr. Cox.
There's a bit at the end where Ed Helms is going, "I will not repeat that order. You must repeat that order. I will not repeat that order." And they're screaming at each other because they're men and they have things to do. It's a very masculine film. But I like it a lot. So yeah, that's my number one pick, The Rock.
It's a great film.
And I wish that Michael Bay would go back to making films like this instead of Transformers movies and all the other kind of franchise films he's doing nowadays. I wish he'd make more ridiculous action films. Although he did actually, he
Yeah.
made a film called Six Underground for Netflix, and it's so bad. It's so unreasonably terrible. So, do you know what? Maybe he's just
Wow.
not quite got it anymore. Another movie that
No.
could have made my list is Bad Boys. That's another Michael Bay absolute smash. But no, The Rock is
Yeah.
for me. What's your
It's a
number
good
one choice?
film. It's amazing how we are, like, for me, 90s is comedy, and for you, 90s is action.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So my number one is a 1996 film called The First Wives Club.
Right.
Yeah? Have you ever seen it?
No, I remember looking at the cover of the videotape in
Yeah.
Blockbuster a lot.
It's I got an incredible cast: Goldie Hawn, Bette Midler, Diane Keaton, Maggie Smith, Sarah Jessica Parker, Dan Hidaya, Stoker Channing from Greece, Victor Garber.
Oh, I love Victor Garber.
Yeah, and etc. It's got really good cast, and it's about these college friends, really good friends, and then they after graduating they went their separate lives, and they only got reconnected because one of them, they're four friends, one of them commits suicide, and then the three women reconnect, and they're all separated or divorced, and they which and they realize they've helped their husbands to climb the ladder of success, but then once they reach that success, their husbands all broke up with them for like younger women. Yeah, and but they want to, so getting together, they want to try and turn this into something that might help other people. So they find a plan to try and take as much money away from their partners, and then that's the story basically. It's a really fun film, and for the time, really female power. It just because these women fight for something, and then in the end there's like something different, but it's really 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 good, and there's some golden comedy moments from Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler that is just, I was watching scenes today and I was crying with laughter because it's just so good. And Goldie Hawn takes the make out of herself, and it talks about how women, the older they get, the more they have to change, and it's just a really really fun film and excellent. And I think that's, for me, the 90s in a little bubble.
Interesting. I never hear people talk. I know of the film through seeing it in Blockbuster for years, which is like a real good example of what makes a movie a 90s film.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I never hear people talking about it. So I'm really surprised and intrigued to hear that it's your number one choice. That's interesting.
But it's just so funny. Like, that's the thing. I watched it the first time I watched it. I watched it begrudgingly. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Begrudgingly. Begrudgingly. My mom was like, "Oh, I want to watch this film," and I looked at the cover, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like boring." And then after I watched it about a lot of times, like every single moment of the film. It's just so good. And there's some slapstick moments where they like throw things and they scream at each other that are just like funny, like really funny moments. And yeah, it's good. Ivana Trump makes a cameo because she's a first wife. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know. I think this is the first one I put in because I found this process of finding 90s films so hard. So I had to like put like lots of walls around me. Like, I'm not going to put Quentin Tarantino films. I'm not going to put these films. But this one was like, yeah, this is going in because it's so good.
Cool. No, nice. Right. Good. That's our lists then. We're done.
Yeah. We're done.
We're done. Shall we go through them one more time?
Yes.
Cool.
Let's do it.
So, my list was number 5, The Silence of the Lambs. Number 4, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Number 3, GoldenEye. Number 2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And number 1, The Rock.
Ooh. My top 5. Number 5, Mrs. Doubtfire. Number 4, True Lies. Number 3, The Addams Family Values. Number 2, Sister Act. And number 1, The First Wives Club.
Nice. Now,
the honorable mentions are ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I've got a list here of honorable mentions. I'll try and get through them nice and quickly. First of all, I've got the film that got bumped off my list to make way for The Silence of the Lambs was Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
Have you seen Galaxy Quest?
No, I don't think so.
It's an amazing. It's a parody of Star Trek films starring Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver and Alan Rickman.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a really good film.
Okay.
But in the end, I wanted to put Silence on there. So yeah, then we've got The Matrix.
Yes.
Of course. The Blair Witch Project.
Oh yes, I saw that at the cinema.
You saw that at the cinema?
Yeah,
I'm surprised you're alive.
Yeah, well, when did it come out? 1999.
Yeah.
I was 14.
Wow.
And I think the boy I liked was going to see it, and so I was like, I'll go and see it as well.
Nice.
And I basically just I shouldn't swear, but I did. I don't. I found it terrifying.
Yeah, it's one of the few horror movies that really scares me. I think it's brilliant.
And you know where I live.
Yeah.
Like George knows where I live, and I live in a house in the middle of the woods, basically. When I came home, I was like, "Oh God!"
Yeah, that bit right at the end where that man's just stood in the corner staring at the. It's so
no! Oh, it's so scary. It's terrifying, but I really like that boy.
Yeah, you must have really liked him. So then I've got Event Horizon, Heat, Groundhog Day, Leon,
oh yes,
The Truman Show, Fight Club, Scream, Ghostwatch, The Exorcist 3, Space Jam, Being John Malkovich, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Which I only watched. I only watched that last year, actually, and it's amazing. I love that movie. Candyman, Snake Eyes, The Fugitive, Death Becomes Her. If we're talking about Goldie Hawn, that's my Goldie Hawn movie.
So good. That film, that's so good.
That's a great movie.
Such a good film.
Ringu, the Japanese, The Ring, Ringu.
Yeah.
Con Air, another Nicolas Cage classic. My Cousin Vinny. Have you seen My Cousin Vinny?
I don't think
it's where
so.
Joe Pesci plays like an Italian-American lawyer who goes to like Southern America, like a Southern American state, like Nebraska or somewhere. And it's a great movie. You would like My Cousin Vinny. Very good film.
Okay.
And it's a very silly comedy, but it's always held up apparently in law schools as being like one of the best examples of like real legal work being done on film, if that makes sense. Even though it's like a comedy.
Okay.
It's a great film. Audition, In the Mouth of Madness, Analyze This, The Parent Trap. The Parent Trap, Alex.
The Parent Trap. I love that
It's
film.
such a good
it's
film.
so good. And they're a camp. I love camp films.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking when you were talking about Addams Family Values. I was thinking about The Parent Trap. So I was like, I love movies set at camp. Why do I like camp films so much? Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Here's one that was hard not to put in my top 5. Train Spotting.
Oh, yes.
Castle Freak. Office Space. Bad Boys. The Only Fools and Horses movie, Miami Twice.
Okay.
Casino. The Iron Giant. Home Alone. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Saving Private Ryan. The Shawshank Redemption. Fargo,
Yeah.
Seven, Men in Black, Romeo and Juliet, and American Pie.
Oh, Romeo plus Juliet.
Romeo plus Juliet, yeah, the Baz Luhrmann one, and American Pie. That's my honourable mentions list. It could be much longer.
Pie. American Pie was basically the pioneer of all the... It was so good, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like, if they just made American Pie, that would have been enough. That was perfect. And then they started doing other things. But American Pie was just so good. So I'm just going to say some stuff that you didn't say. You said... Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
I don't like Mel Brooks
Very good
films,
film.
so it's not on my list.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Armageddon.
Nice.
Did you say it?
No, I didn't say it. It's the
No.
one Michael. No, it's a good film. It's a good film. Yeah.
Clueless. Love Clueless.
Never seen it.
Very good film. Muriel's Wedding.
Never seen it.
It's you might enjoy it. It's a film with
Has it got Toni Collette in it? Or is that?
Yeah, Toni
Yeah.
Collette as like it's such a weird
Is it
film, but
Australian?
it's really, really good. Yeah, it's an Australian film, and when I watched it, it's the first film I watched with Toni Collette. She looks totally different
really?
from what she looks like now, and it's so good. Face Off.
Oh yeah, that should be.
Love that
Yeah,
film.
that should be in my list actually. Love it.
Face Off is amazing. Pleasantville.
Oh, is that Brendan Fraser? Or Tobey Maguire?
Toby Maguire likes this TV series that's all black and white, and then him and his sister magically go in, and then they turn the world in color. It's so good. The Green Mile.
Oh, nice.
Human Traffic.
I haven't seen that film.
Really good film about people going to a rave.
Yeah, is that
So
got
good.
John Sim in it?
I think so. I don't know. I just love that film.
Nice one, brother.
Lost in Space, 1998.
Okay.
I love that film. It's so weird
very
and
silly.
bizarre. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Ooh, okay.
And then I think, but that's it because the rest you probably just already said. Because, yeah.
Cool.
And then was there any other? Edward Scissorhands was on my list, but I took it out because and Practical Magic.
Right. I don't think I've seen Practical. Is Hocus Pocus from the 90s?
Yes,
That's a pretty good film.
I think so. That's a really good film, isn't it?
Yeah.
90s films are good. It took me so long to make this list. I'm sorry if I left anything out.
Yeah, it was a
I
good
love
era
90s
for
films.
cinema.
Yeah. Independence Day.
Oh,
Independence
Independence
Day.
Day.
That's 90s film. So good.
Yeah, Will Smith,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robin Williams, Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
and yeah, they were good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so homework time.
Homework time.
So there's 2 movies in my list that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
I could set you GoldenEye, which I know is easier for you to watch, and I will if that's what you want. But I think there's a much stronger chance of you actually liking The Silence of the Lambs.
Fine.
Would you take The Silence of the Lambs as your homework?
Well, I am not a James Bond fan, so I think I'd rather be scared
Yeah,
than watch
that's what I
James
figured.
Bond.
So Silence of the Lambs.
So, Silence of the Lambs.
But also, just because Alan Rickman's in it, and I can't believe you haven't seen it, put Galaxy Quest on your list just to watch at some point. I think you'd like that movie. But yeah, The Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, mine. You haven't seen Sister Act or The First Wives Club?
Yeah, and I will happily accept either.
Okay, I don't know. Like, I feel like First Wives Clubs. I think you more likely wouldn't watch The First Wives Club. So I think you should watch that one.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. But I think you should watch Sister Act too, because if you haven't seen it, it's so good. And Sister Act and Sister Act 2.
Back in the Habit.
Because back in the habit.
Hey, I'll always like that
yeah,
pun.
I think you should watch. But yeah, The First Wives Club.
Yeah, cool.
And I love Goldie Hawn. She doesn't do enough. Like,
No, that's why I was a bit disappointed by the that Christmas Chronicles Part 2 movie I talked about a week or so ago, where she plays Mrs. Claus, because I wanted to really... And she's good in it, but it's not a very good movie. Okay, so that was a great episode of Culture Bucket. What times we have had. Hope you've had a good time listening this week, as we've gone back to the 90s for a bit and argued about musicals, but it's been a good one. If I had to recommend anything from our Culture Catch-Up today, I'd say go and check out Ghosts, the BBC sitcom Ghosts from the Horrible Histories team. It is absolutely 5 out of 5, perfect. How about you, Alex?
If I had to recommend anything today, it would be the film Our Beloved Wife by Shinodachi. I think it's a really funny film about marital non-bliss.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So, thank you for joining us today. We love you very much. Please do check out our social medias. All links to all our social media channels can be found in the show notes for the podcast, as can links to everything we discuss in Culture Catch-Up. And join us, please come back next week when we're going to be staying firmly in the 90s and talking about music. We're going to be doing our top 5 90s bands.
Yeah.
And groups and such like that. Oh, it's going to be good.
It's going to be
Can't
so
wait to
good.
record that. I can't wait to record that with you in a week, Alex.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's going to be a difficult week waiting to talk about
Yeah.
that. So, love you all. Thank you very much. See you again.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.